The uncertain. The third will face it. I kind of, I'm almost wishing I was uncertain.
Hey, Pat, you can fish.
Well, they can serve.
All right. Zoom is working. We will call the meeting to order at 10:32. And the pledge is in our agenda. If you'd like to join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public comment?
Yeah, I'll make a comment, it's kind of repeating comments I made before, and I don't know exactly how this plays into the John X memo, the letter, but I think it's important for everybody to realize that there is a possibility, no matter what we do, that we will have collected and dispersed enough money at some point before the end of the term of the bond, which would be sufficient to cover the remaining bond. That is a possibility. And that's a possibility we should have always faced, right? What happens if we still got, we still got more years on the 4.4, we still have more years on the bond, but we've already paid as much as we need to. It doesn't mean that we paid off the bond, but just that we've sent enough money out that would cover all the remaining. And that could happen. I guess the bond matures in 28 or something like that. And even if we do nothing, I don't know, maybe we have it paid for in 27. I'm not sure what the numbers are. But there has to be some mechanism to end the 4.4 when the money has been collected in full, right? So I hope that's what we get. Because that mechanism can be triggered either through the 4.4 mils by itself, potentially, or it could be triggered by making other advance payments, additional payments from half fees or whatever. So it isn't really about making advance payments. It's really about, well, what happens when you've paid in full?
I just remove it from the tax roll. Just, it just comes off the tax roll.
You can do that at any time. So if somebody is some rich philanthropist came out of the sky today, say, okay, here's the rest of your 2.8 million or whatever it is.
All we have to do is say to the county, tell us it's good, and just remove the millage.
The other question is, what do you think the county is going to, we're all good.
Get the money.
Yeah.
All okay.
The money has to go someplace, be deposited in some fund someplace that they can see it and say, yep, it's really there, and it's not going to be taken back. So, yeah, that's what I think it's down to, because but then it opens up the full range of choices of how do we pay them off? 4.4 plus other sources of funds, like the malpractice. I think it is.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. All right, first on our list here is a master plan township. I put contact, but I just, for lack of a better word, we talked at our board meeting about who was going to be the person here at Sylvan's End. I feel like we need to have somebody here who knows the process, can hold Beckett Rader accountable for their contract to make sure certain things are being done. And we talked about it, and I think the idea was maybe Sandy and Mike Van Buren, and I wrote to Mike, I've attached his email here, and he said that he personally thinks that Carol should be involved given her role. He was wondering what, he could get information about what type of work she's been doing, which really has been not much. So then also he said on a personal note, he's going to be out of town much of October through January, depending on coordination. Most or all of the work could fall to Sandy. So it sounds like he is not interested in taking this on. And I appreciate his proposal that he believes that Carol should be involved, and I support that idea. I think Carol, due to her role here, is well suited to know what responsibilities need to happen. And can hold Beckett and Rader accountable. I know I'm a little concerned because, you know, I printed out, I sent to Mike and Sandy this MTA document. It's from 2009. It's a little dated about, you know, when you adopt or amend the master plan. And one of the first things you do is you send notices to adjoining townships or cities. And I don't think that's happened yet. And we're already in this process where we're doing the survey. So I kind of brought it up in an email, and it felt like Beckett and Rader said, oh yeah, we can do the notices and we'll work with whoever in your office. And this is where we need to agree on who that person would be.
Well, from what I've heard, I agree that she should take care of the administrative part of it. I don't think that anyone had an issue with that. It was just not weighing in on the content. So I think that's fine. She needs to schedule these things. She needs to hold them accountable for the logistics.
Mhm.
So that makes sense.
Okay,
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
she's done it before
Yeah.
and nobody else has.
Right,
so.
but I don't
right,
think anyone's
right.
complaining. Those weren't the concerns that I heard. from
Yeah.
residents. It was,
well, and I heard,
Weighing
you know,
in
I had
efforts.
emails saying they wanted to be assured that she had nothing to do with the master plan process or wasn't involved in certain ways. So I responded and said that she was gonna be handling statutory or administrative. I can't remember which word I
that makes
used.
sense.
But then that has become, you know, sort of here in the township too, like, what exactly does that mean? And so I think it's good to be really clear. She's gonna be the person who's gonna be handling it. And again, I don't think, yeah.
Well, I think
that's-
an explanation of what those duties would entail, so there's a clear understanding of what that is, would make
Well,
sense.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if I know, I can look at this and see, but I don't know what Carol knows. Maybe I could say, Carol, tell me the things that you think that you're gonna be doing.
Right, what are
But
the
also, I don't
what
wanna-
are the administrative, what's the administrative piece?
So would we ask Carol that or Beckett and Rader? I mean, do we, right, I mean, I don't know. Or do we look at MTA and say, this is the administrative process that the state says we must follow?
She
And
also,
then-
she gave to everybody in the planning commission that and one that was just typed up and didn't have pictures on it from fall. They're essentially the
Right,
same
right.
thing, except the one fall, so a bit easier. to read
Oh,
and
okay.
everything.
Well, that's nice.
So with this master plan, I'm a little confused because it seemed like we said we're not doing the full blown, there was a discussion. This is just a I don't know,
Right,
a
the
a
review,
review of it. So
right.
does the state's stats cover just a
It
review
does,
also?
it does say, even if you're doing
Okay.
just a review, and you know what, these didn't collate, but I'll give you one of these. It's really interesting to see. Oh. It looks like it was thinking it was double siding or something. But yeah, it's,
So, okay, so it's covered, the review is covered under a state statute.
Yeah.
really.
it's not, yeah, it
So
sounds
there's a
like this
process to
notice,
follow.
right,
You know, once again, it seems to me that what we need is a job description for Carol. I mean, we've been talking
Right.
about this for how many years? I mean, do
Right.
we have?
well, and I
anything-
sent it around, after we had our special meeting,
So
we
you-
talked with Paul about that, we sent it around, I sent it to everybody, we can look in our emails and see, because I think that was part of a thing, it's just
Okay, so,
to be clear about what it is.
so do you want to resend that?
Yep, I'd be happy to. It should,
Okay.
everybody should have it in their policy book, but again, that's another problem is, I didn't
Don't
put that on
talk
here,
about
but,
that.
well, and then, yeah,
Well, so why don't we resend that and then we can all take a look at it and see how this applies towards her job description. Okay,
And
hopefully it's
put
covered.
it in her job description if this is there, because
Right.
there's absolutely
Or could
nobody
be
else
this,
who can
like,
do it.
other duties as assigned, you know, that's that catch-all thing too, and we could say this is something that we're asking her with, or we're asking her to shepherd this process through and make sure like all the things are getting done that need to get done. Cause I don't want, nobody wants to spend $13,000 and then
No.
have somebody say, oh, you didn't send out the notice at the beginning of the
Right,
process.
no, all those,
You gotta do
no,
it, yeah.
she's the person that understands the
But I know
administrative
this is
part.
unpopular, but I feel that her input is essential to this. And that's just what I feel. She has the expertise and her input and qualifications are essential to this.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we mean by input. And how you define what is input, is it opinion, is it? If she's leading us through the process and it's in her job description, then there's not much of a decision to be made here. It's
Yeah,
She did the
job
last
description.
one.
Right. Well, I think, but
Now,
for me, it's important
the-
that we're all clear, so then when I get emails from residents, I can say, the
Right.
board made this decision, and it's not me. And I agree with what you're saying, I think Carol should handle it administratively, but the people who are gonna be making decisions on the content are the planning commission.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
ultimately us, if it's something that comes to us, then
Right.
here it's like, if you have a resolution that it goes to the township board, it will.
Right.
And we should, if we intend to do that, we should make sure we have that in place too, right?
Right.
That we wanna look at it before it goes
Right.
to the planning commission for final approval.
And I think you can clarify that. That's.
Right,
easy.
it
That's
is,
easy
but
to do.
there's like a resolution you have to do that puts that opportunity in place for the board. So that's where there's just. Yeah, it would be nice.
If
to
I
see.
remember it right, it came from the PC, it came to the board did, it went back to the
Right.
PC and they had ultimatum, they adopted it, and
Right.
it was done.
And it looks like what we can do as the board is we can put in a resolution that says we want to see it after planning commission passes it at draft stage. And then it would come to us and we'd say we like it, then it goes back to planning commission for the final thing.
Right.
That step to the board doesn't have to happen. If we want it to happen, according to this, it sounds like we need to pass a resolution. So we can put that on our
So-
radar going forward.
Sure.
But sorry.
So my guess is what we're talking about here is future planning for the township. And I think what I'm hearing people say is we don't necessarily need to have Carol tell us that in the future, this is where the business districts should be, and this is where the
Right,
low density residential, we don't want that input.
right.
We don't
Why
want.
not?
Well, that's the discussion, is that,
Because I think they feel like the planning
Do we-
commissioners who live in Sylvan Township should, who as residents should be making that
And
decision.
guess whose input they're gonna ask for? Carol. That's what they did the last time.
Well, but maybe it'll be different this time when we have more public input.
Well, as long as it ain't just the same.
So
Well,
if-
I
15
think
people.
that
Well, I don't think that's what you're going to see.
the planning commission, just like us, are people who have no real expertise. They take classes or they should be taking classes to learn about things. Nobody has a degree in anything that's helpful. And I would want to walk lockstep with somebody who has been educated and who understands the biggest picture of
Carol
all.
has that degree.
right, so if we're saying that's Carol's function, then it ought to be in her job description.
Sure.
Right.
In what function
So-
exactly is the master plan
Well,
or,
Well, there's a delineation
Future-
between administrative process and
And
weighing
future
in on
planning.
content.
right, so
And I-
you're saying if it's a weighing in on future content, that should be in the job description, right?
And that's-
if we agree that's what we
Right,
want,
right, right,
the planning. She's a
Mhm.
zoning administrator, but
Right.
she's also doing, we used to hire,
Carl
Carl
Schultz,
Right.
Schultz to do.
yeah,
few-
Schultz from
to
Ann
do
Arbor
planning.
to do planning, yep. Yep,
Okay,
we
so who
paid him
does,
like
Who does-
$150 an hour. Carol does the planning
Mhm.
for us right now. She has a different, we pay her about 50 some dollars an hour, so a third of what we paid Carl Schultz years ago. But she has a degree, she's got her, master's degree in urban planning and planning, so she has the same degree that we were paying somebody else
so
for,
is
so.
it in her job description?
What's that? The
Plan.
planning?
I don't know.
I'd have to look at that and
Maybe not.
see, probably not, because she's, yeah. Yep,
So the last time we went through a master plan process like this, did we hire a planner to provide that kind of input?
What did Carlisle Wortman do then?
same thing Beckett and Rader are doing is putting together the survey, coming out and running the open houses when we have those and putting it together.
They are not a
So-
planning firm? I
They
guess-
are,
I guess that was,
they
that
are.
was.
they're
that was
doing the same thing that Beckett and Rader did.
what
ahead, I'm
Carlisle
sorry.
Wortman-
Yeah.
I guess that was my, maybe I misunderstood what their role was going to be. I thought that was their role to act as the planners for this process.
Well, they are, but also it's interesting because if we want like Sylvan. They're a planning firm and they are putting together the survey and they're putting together all of this stuff independent of us. Some things we've found in the past when we've employed planning firms, which are really large and they kind of, they take something off the shelf and then they give it to us. It doesn't really apply to us. It's from a different place. So it's nice to have the independent firm doing this for us. It's also nice to have, someone who can speak to the ordinance here or the land standards here and those sort of things. But I mean, I'm fully in the camp of the planning commission are the people who are in charge of this and then, you know, charge of the content and the residents as well, right? Through participation in surveys and the open houses that are yet to come. So all of that will help flesh this out. But my understanding is, you know, at that time, Carlisle Wortman did what Beckett and Rader are doing in terms of putting out the survey and all of that. And then Carol was sort of the go-between, you know, because they would say, well, we want to come out, we're going to schedule to speak to the planning commission, or we're going to do an open house and help to coordinate those dates
Yeah,
and
that
stuff
makes
like
sense. I
that.
mean, again, that's administrative, that's logistic, that makes sense.
Right.
That does not deal with content.
We had Mike here asking for Carol's assistance.
Well, involvement,
Mhm.
so you gotta define that.
Mhm.
Well,
So we look at the job description and go from there. Is that?
but I think we can all agree today that we're
Yes.
okay with her with the statutory
Yeah,
administrative,
we need that. I mean,
holding them
obviously,
accountable to
right,
the,
we have to
right,
meet these deadlines.
right.
Now,
Right.
the other thing that, you know, that I've worked with is, we always have a contract administrator. Should be a single point of contact for a contract.
Mm-hmm,
So when they turn in timesheets or requests for extras, or if they're not meeting their schedule, there's, you know, one person that is the contract administrator that
Mhm.
deals directly with
yeah,
them.
Mhm.
It sounds to me like we don't really have that.
I don't think we've
Or-
ever had that. We had a
Carol said,
project
"Sure, Carol
manager
did
for
the
a
last
bit.
time."
I mean, we've never, yeah, I
Right.
mean, we've never had that.
Well, I
as
mean,
far
when
as
I,
know,
well, when
but-
I received their invoices, all right, I gave it to you for
Mhm.
approval, because I wasn't sure where else to
So-
go.
so-
Who
But
was
it's-
that, Beckett and Rader?
Yes, but it
Okay.
sounds like Kurt, and I agree with
Yeah.
you, that makes sense that we would have a contact
Yeah.
person that would actually be approving those as well. Because they're following what they're doing, they're making
And
sure
it
that
feels
they're
like to me,
actually,
maybe that should be again Carol, because she's gonna be intimately aware of what steps they're
Right.
doing to approve those things.
right.
Because the
Right.
other
That
thing
makes
is we
sense.
just don't have that many people here, folks.
No. we
All
That's
don't-
a
right,
whole
well,
nother, but
I think that makes sense, and so if we agree on that, then
then
Amy,
Carol would be the person
Approving
to
those
approve the
invoices, yeah.
invoices.
Yep.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that,
I mean, I look at them and I see the money, but
right,
So again, it should be in the job description. She's gonna be a single point of contact for contract administration.
well, but that feels like all contract administration, IA contract, water contracts,
The
only
ones we-
contracts
the
that
ones
are.
we assign her to.
Well, then let's be specific about that.
Sure.
And make sure that she's agreeable to that
Yes.
too. I mean, right? I mean, I think, you know, man, that place she is moving over there. I'll tell you, when you talk to Matt Forrester, they're like over at Kaka, Chelsea and Sylvan are 100% of our business right now. There's so much going on and there's so much to be, you know, we don't have a project manager. We talked years ago about having a project manager. So in the absence or vacuum of a project manager, either things aren't getting done or she's doing them, or I'm trying to fill the spot.
I've received
So-
55 zoning permits alone from her.
So she's doing a lot,
Yes.
and there's a certain point where we're part-time, we advertise these as part-time jobs, so how much is, you know, how much is she putting in, how much time is
She's
she doing,
steadily-
so.
rolling through my office.
And I haven't seen payroll, so it'd be interesting maybe just to see, keep an eye on her hours, and honestly,
She's well,
Nobody's in-
she does,
but,
she's well.
I know,
She
I know, I used to do payroll.
You know, so if there's any question on the Beckett and Rader contract, you have a single point of contact that you can go to.
Exactly,
And they may not have the answer, but they'll at least go get the answer from whoever they need to and then come back. And then-
exactly.
So everything's going through that single. point.
Exactly, and I think not having that or not being really clear about that has led to problems with the QR code going in the tax bills and all sorts of things that just are not because we weren't clear, people were confused, I think, so it's nice to be laser focused and really clear that this is, you know, what we want her to take on this.
And that's
Is that-
an administrative duty, I would think.
Right,
It's not a
Right.
planning function, it's an administrative function.
right.
It's specifically for.
You know, Bob Skull should be the single point of contact for anything to do with infrastructure alternatives, I would think.
Mhm. I think too.
You know, and then Rod handles a lot of contracts for, you know, snow plowing, lawn mowing, computers, he would be the single point of contact. For that, but you always identify,
Yeah.
it. And I'm not sure that for Beckett and Rader that's been done, we've identified
No,
a
we have,
single point.
We have
Well, and I think that's why I wanted to bring this up and make it clear, because it is confusing.
Yeah.
And if people don't know, then, like I said, we could end up halfway through this process and find out, oh, we didn't do the notices, we gotta start over. And then it's gonna be another $5,000
Yeah.
because we weren't clear. Well, it sounds like we all agree, right? So that's the beauty of it. We can all agree on it. Let's be clear, we can move forward. I will let Carol know. And then,
So do we have to have a motion or something for this?
Well, I think you're gonna resend the job description.
I can, but we need at this meeting to be
Right.
clear about
Right.
tomorrow when something happens with Beck and Raider. Who takes care of that?
Okay.
Because I'm getting gray hairs over this, you guys. I'm serious. Every day we go farther without having sent these notices out, I think, oh. Because we really don't want to have to start over. If that's we've already put the survey out. If the very first step was send the notices and that didn't get done, we gotta be timely on this. We gotta make a decision and just be clear today on this part. We can get her, I'm happy to send it around. We can look at her job description and fine
Do
tune
we
that.
want to make a motion? I mean, I'll make a motion to make Carol Knick be the administrative point of contact for Beckett and Ryder.
I'll second.
Does
Okay,
that make sense?
yeah, I was sitting here trying to figure out how to.
Administrative
the
point of
motion.
contact, yeah. Sound good?
I think that sounds good.
Administrative point of
Yeah,
contact. for
and if
Beckett
she has any question about, what that means, I mean. She's the one. Okay. All right. Oh, good. So we have a motion and support.
By Kurt.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, fantastic. Thank you. I'll sleep better at night.
So has anybody's seen, and I asked Sarah this, and you were copied on that email,
Mhm.
to put a notice on the Sun Times and whatever the other email thing is. Has anybody seen it? The
Or
survey, the
what?
survey, the
The
survey.
the link for it,
Yeah,
I got it by email.
I'll call Lisa today and get it in there.
But you
Well,
got
and
by
I can
email
let-
from where?
I can let Lonnie know, but also that's kind of a funny thing, because I don't know if Beckett and Raider is gonna do that, like, when
Right.
we
we
got somebody
told her to do
her,
it. We
we
told
said,
her to do
you
it.
go out.
Yeah,
Well, and it's funny because the emails they write back, just like the thing on the notices, she said, we'd be happy to work with whoever in your office. And then if nobody from our office comes forward, then
Right.
it feels like they falls off their radar.
yeah.
And so,
Well, it sounds like
it's-
going forward, though, we can.
Well,
I-
we'll have
exactly,
these
I
steps in
mean,
place and it'll go.
and everybody will, right,
That's good.
oh, yes.
I have a
you're
relationship
right.
with Lisa and I'll call Lisa.
Hmm?
I have a relationship with Lisa and I'll call her.
She's from Beckett and
No,
No,
No, she has the
She's-
email.
Oh,
she's the Chelsea
Chelsea,
update, and I can let Lonnie, who always does our stuff here.
And I
know,
think
but-
we need to extend how. I think we only have the survey out for 4 weeks. I think it needs to be
I agree,
extended
Sandy.
because
I
it
asked for
didn't
more.
get out. All it did was.
Yeah.
It got on the website, which is, doesn't have a lot of traffic.
I asked them at least 6 weeks, and I also called last week to KCI, who does the printing for
Oh, good.
the
idea.
assessors.
Mhm.
And I wanted to get a quote for it at the smallest postcard we can send and say, hey,
Here's the code.
here it is,
Yeah,
it's live. That's how we did it last. It's the only way. we
It is
can
the only
relate
way.
Okay.
to
Because people are
everybody.
really confused right now.
They
You've had
are.
calls, I've had calls.
Absolutely.
They don't know what to do.
They don't know, exactly, and we don't want them to be like, just learning about it and then it's
No.
closed.
Right.
So the lady
Right.
called me back, I had a message today, she was wondering what size postcard we want. I'm thinking the littlest we can send.
But I think,
And
I
have-
think it's, we decide on that, we put that very simple card out
Yeah.
and then have the time frame on the code, the card,
Mhm.
so they know that for.
and I think postcards are pretty general in size. They have a standard postcard
Yeah.
size.
Well, and she said they had a couple different sizes, so she's
Oh.
probably just wondering, like, I'm sure they're looking, if we want a bigger one, they'd be happy
Yeah, I
to
mean,
make
the
more.
ones I
but-
use for my record shows are about that
Yeah.
big.
And that's probably all I had to call and tell her is little, but maybe I can bring that to the board meeting Because it will be an expenditure we didn't plan on, but if I get that quote, I can bring it to the meeting.
Sure.
Tuesday.
And
I'll
let's
have
go
to
with
add
it.
it
Yeah.
and let's go.
Let's have
Because we-
verbiage, it's so simple, verbiage is so simple. QR code,
Absolutely.
Here it is.
And it
I-
feels
please
like there's
participate.
no other way, and that's how we did it before.
I think
so it
ours are
feels
4x5,
better.
right, that we use in all our record checks.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect. Yeah, and they could print them and send them, I think, everything from there, right? They do all of it.
Yeah, they
So
will do
we
it
don't
all.
even have to do
Right.
anything. It's like,
so it's very automated.
Oh, that's,
isn't
That's-
that nice?
yes. So how much longer do you want to extend? How much more? I would go even to the end of September.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, if it goes out, I would
shit, I
say
mean,
4
they're not
weeks
even-
from when
The
we know it's
postcard
in
goes
their
out.
hands.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like
So
that.
they have time.
Right.
yeah.
So
I
the,
mean-
the link for the survey came from the Kavanaugh Lake News.
Okay, so somebody,
I didn't get that one.
Yeah, me either.
well, someone got it probably, and yeah.
So I'm just laughing. 'cause,
What's
like,
good though is that people are
somebody-
disseminating
Yes,
it,
yes,
which is
it's
good.
out there.
So the next question is, who gave it to the Kavanaugh Lake News, I guess?
Well-
They didn't come up with it on their own. Somebody
Well,
contacted
it's.
Jeff
Pulled
Hall.
it off the website.
Yeah, somebody
probably
could have been
sent it to
looking
the
for it,
website.
right.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is
people
live,
are
and
looking.
they
Yeah.
did send us a, paper copy. It's like
Yeah.
11, 15 pages long, and
15,
you
17
kind of got to
pages.
do it in color because of the maps.
Yeah,
A woman came in yesterday, I think I did just 4, I mean, I just, we can't charge anybody for it, so I did 4 of them, she wanted them for her neighbors, a lot of elderly neighbors who aren't online.
Yeah.
But I should send that around to everybody here, because you might have people too
Absolutely, we
asking,
can just
Susan's got
forward.
it at the front, but
We
yeah,
need it,
you
we
want
need
to
it
have
for
it,
sure,
okay.
cause I'm definitely getting calls and
Yeah.
emails about it.
All right, she just sent it yesterday, because she sent one a couple weeks ago, it was terrible, I don't know if you remember that, when you opened it, it was like, it just didn't come
I didn't
right.
open it because I knew it was gonna be affordable.
It was bad. So anyway, I will forward that, okay.
Okay.
All right, so this is really short, this Montane Trail, Sammer Abbas, who had bought the property over on Montane Trail. There's a consent judgment on the property that all of the neighbors have signed on to. Do you guys know about this?
No.
I do.
So, yeah, they needed to, the person who bought this final property, it triggered something where they needed to create cul-de-sac or a turnaround for a
Right.
fire department.
Absolutely, yes.
And they had to improve the road,
Right, and they
Which
have to
is-
improve the road to
which is
what's in
the
there.
big piece.
And
of
there's
it.
not enough room, right, for a cul-de-sac, there's only enough room for like the hammer.
Right, the
Well,
hammer has
there's-
better,
the
because the
hammer.
cul-de-sac was problematic because it took up a lot of land. And the neighbor whose land it went onto did not want the cul-de-sac on his property. So I think it sounds like this has been going on for a long, long time. CAFO, they said a hammerhead turnaround would suffice, like a 3-point turnaround. And it sounds like this, Mr. Addis has all of his neighbors in agreement to this new plan. He submitted, grading plans. That was part of it too, is, the grade for the trucks to be able to get back there. I think Sue Dickinson has looked at all of his things. He's paying for that. And it sounds like they're close to having a resolution on this.
Well, so for the consent judgment, we, the township, are a party to that consent judgment. And when that consent judgment was put together, we, the township, said you will have a turnaround. I don't
Mhm.
think it was really defined that it had to be a cul-de-sac, but it had to be a.
thought
Something,
Like an
it
access
did.
point
An
of some
access
kind.
point.
because there's different
Yeah.
ways you can design.
Right,
But the big $100,000 item was that the road had to be improved from a certain point back to
back
the.
to the end of the drive or however it was. Right.
So, if they do everything the consent judgment says, no issue, right?
Right,
But if they're gonna try and go on the cheap and do just the minimal road improvement and it really doesn't cover what the consent judgment says,
Mhm.
then we're agreeing to, not follow the
Substandard something.
consent judgment, and then are we setting precedent for other areas in the township?
do
that
you
wanna
feel like
put
they're
in-
cheaping out, or you're just
I haven't
speculating?
seen.
Okay,
We had a
So-
meeting with him.
right, yeah,
I sat down with Rebecca, the previous owner, and,
Oh,
she
yeah,
showed me
Rebecca.
Bollinger's quotes for it. That's why I know it was like in the $80,000 range. I recommended to her that she get it surveyed, which she did,
uh-huh,
and I think she's passed that information on, so,
Yeah.
everything's surveyed, I think it's well defined.
right,
We just need to be careful.
Sure.
And if we're gonna make any changes to the consent judgment,
I don't think
then there are legal fees involved, and whoever is wanting to do this should cover all our legal expenses.
Right.
I would think.
There's no, not that there is no changes to the consent judgment being sought at this point. They're all working it within the consent judgment. My understanding is Sue has looked at, and she's aware of the consent judgment, has a copy of it. She's looked at the grading plans for the road and has approved everything. So at this point, the question is, we are gonna have obviously Rob Fall look at this on behalf of the township.
Mhm.
And so what Mr. Abbas is wondering is, could he also use Mr. Fall in a way just to, and he's okay with, that it wouldn't be a conflict for him. So what I'm wondering is, does the board have a problem with that? And then if Fall looks at it and says, okay, this all looks good, then we would like split the bill with, we would foot the whole bill for his look at it. So I'm wondering, would the board be okay if the bill was split? If Fall ends up looking at this and being the attorney and saying, yes, all the boxes are checked on the consent judgment, Sylvan
So-
can move forward.
Why don't we ask
Would we-
Mr. Fall that question
Yeah.
first and then decide?
We could, I think he's already been asked that question. I
Okay.
think he's fine with that. So I'm just wanting to, and
see why not.
before and I think it's within my purview of the amount that the supervisor can, but I'm always wanting to be transparent, let you guys know, is that okay? If Fall doesn't have a problem, he doesn't have a problem.
Sure.
It's minimizing that he
Sure.
doesn't need to have a separate attorney and he pays our attorney and then we pay our attorney. It's like, if everybody's
Why not? It's a
okay with
win-win,
that.
I think.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
think
well,
it's
we'll
a
see, and
win-win.
I think they're still, finalizing the details, but it sounds like they're ready to go to that next step, which would be having legal look at it and
Right, so
signing
they
off on
do,
it,
they
but,
do have drawings for Montane Trail?
yep, I'll send you everything that
Yes.
I got on there and Sue's reviews of it and or it's actually Adam. Sue kind of in the background, but.
So we
Adam
go
did it.
through all the reviews, CAFA will be part of that, and assume. Cause I tell you, when you drive down that mountain train, you're going into the rainforest. The way it's overgrown. If you go in the dead of winter, it looks pretty wide open. You go this time of year,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Catherine may have
Wow.
concerns.
yeah.
Never been back there.
Well, that's as far as I know, Dave, everybody's signed off on it, but I can send you all of those.
well,
so it's
yeah,
like the-
I have a little problem with that statement because some of those people there don't want the road improved. They like that two-track rainforest look,
Right.
They don't,
catches on fire.
well,
Yeah.
that's, what they agree to is not
Well, and
necessarily what we
Right,
Sylvan
would be
Township.
CAFA standards.
agree
Well,
to
but-
also.
but it has to be CAFA standards, right? That's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So it is or it isn't, and that's not our worry about that. That's his worry
Right,
about
right.
whether the neighbors agree to it. My worry is, are all our boxes checked? Did CAFA review it? Did the engineers review it? And if they did and they say it's
Right, that
okay
removes
and
our
all the neighbors
liability.
agree, they may rue the decision later and say, I missed my rainforest, but
Right,
that's,
and
it
one of
sounds
those-
like today everybody is,
And one of those boxes is the consent judgment being followed.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's where we want Fall, too, to take a look at it
Yeah.
and make sure and all those, boxes are checked according to the consent judgment. But anyway,
Sure.
hopefully good news. It would be nice to settle this up and move that on for
Yeah.
everybody in that
Be
area.
nice to have another consent judgment gone.
Yes. All right. So that's moving forward. Let me make a note to myself, sure.
Yeah. that's-
All right. Oh. So then I just, we got this second memo, John Axe, he said, in order to answer your questions, I need to look at your ordinance for your tap fees, your water ordinances, so I went on Unicode, sent them the links. He called me, he said, it looks like there's money goes to the township and money goes to the authority for water ordinances and for the sewer ordinance. And I said, here's the deal with the water sewer authority. They don't handle water. They do handle sewer despite the nomenclature.
So the ordinance
Um,
wasn't changed.
It has
updated
not
when-
been updated.
When the
um,
updates were made to water and sewer.
Well, and I don't know that updates were ever made to the Water and Sewer Authority. I think it's sort of like this urban myth that we've created that the town, you know, and rightfully so. Linden doesn't want to have anything to do with the water, but
Right,
I don't
thought
think
that's
it's
what they
ever
meant.
officially been separated off. The bylaws for the Water Sewer Authority still have Lima Township in there. It still has, you know, which has a seat at the table. They're one of the 5 members. They've never been
For water,
for Water and Sewer Authority. It's Sylvan, Linden, and there's 1 seat for Lima. Cause I think when they created the authority, perhaps Lima was going to do something.
When I was on the
So-
water and water sewer board. What's his face from Lima Township came to the meeting.
Yeah.
And
Mark
during that
Eason.
time, he said, well, we're not gonna
Was Mark
participate, and
Eason.
then he quit coming.
Say that
Yeah.
again, Sandy, what did you say?
He, whatever his
Mark
name.
Keiser,
No,
Mark-
that,
No.
no, Lima's not Mark. Keegan.
Oh,
Lima,
no,
John-
Craig Meyer
no,
probably.
Craig Meyer
Yeah,
came to the water sewer meetings. But they didn't participate, and then, and at some point, he formally said, we're not participating, and then he stopped coming to the meetings, so they did go to the meetings.
are
For
we
some
talking Lima
unknown
or
period.
Linden?
Lima,
Lima.
Cause Lima isn't mentioned anywhere either, is it? in the
No, it's not.
ordinances or-
It's not. And because, I mean, it's, and this document is for us from John Act regarding, you know, how, with this information,
Mhm.
this is how he's regarding now how tap sheet fee should be handled.
Right.
So he was just interested in, when he read the ordinances, he said, who is this authority that should be getting money? And I said, it's the Water Sewer Authority. But they only handle the sewer. The township funds 100% finances the water.
Okay, so
So,
the last time John Axe sent us something, I put together a couple pages of discussion points. Has he
Yep.
seen that document? Has that gone back to him?
yep, I forwarded that to him and I forwarded, Amanda had a couple questions and I sent that to him.
Okay, has he responded to
And-
that?
Then after that was when he said, I want to see your ordinances. I need to see your ordinances
Okay,
and how the
then-
tap fees are referenced in your ordinances.
Then this is a result of that.
Right, so then I
Yeah.
sent him the ordinances. He called me and said, why does your ordinance refer to an authority? Why does your ordinance say half of your water tap fees go to the township and half go to the authority? And half of your sewer tap fees goes to the authority and half goes to the township? And that's when I had to say, okay, there's this weird reality,
Mhm.
but it doesn't reflect. So I told him, you know, the township does the water, the authority handles the sewer. And he said, okay, got it. And then he sent this other one. It's a draft. He wants everybody to look at it. He also sent it to the folks at the county, Mr. Sweeney, who we met with, and Tina Gavalier. I think Mr. Bill was on that email. Oh yeah, everybody's here at the top. So they have yet to respond. Tom Sweeney said he was gonna take a look at it. I'm just giving it to you guys. He wants you to take a look at it. You know, any further questions, we can go back to him on. We could talk to Paul about this.
But I think
Um,
too, what we were asking is, from what I'm reading, that the tap fees should be used to
It
pay
sounds
the
like that's
bond,
what
and
he's
it's all
saying.
saying that they must be used on outstanding bond debt.
Yeah,
And it's interesting, they refer to the connection charge that I've been talking about for years. And it would never materialize, and it's supposed to be getting charged also.
and again, you know, it talks about here, he's taking things out, the connection, you know, charge.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Shall be
yeah.
two connection, one established by the township and paid to the township, and one established by the authority and paid to the authority.
Mhm.
And this is part of our problem
Is
with
that
our
connection versus
ordinances.
tap fees? though?
That's the thing
So
that we've
those are
been
the two-
talking forever. This-
We've had tap fees, but there should be a connection fee also.
That's not being
Correct.
collected?
Or
Well,
even
he's-
assessed, as far as I know, we don't
Well,
have
he's
a,
saying there's
but-
two connection fees.
Mhm.
And the one for the township, he says, is a tap fee and is to be used for capital repayment. The other is to cover the costs of the actual connecting. So on the last page here, page 4,
Mhm.
number in section A, number 2, it says the tap fee is
Mhm.
a capital connection fee. So
And intended to reimburse
we
for
have-
its capital expenses.
We have two connection fees. There's a capital connection fee. And the other connection fee that you're talking about, Rob.
But that connection fee has never, it's not there. It's never been put in place. We don't
Right.
have another, it's one thing, you pay a tap
Right.
fee or connection fee, however you want it. But there's, in a lot of places, we'll have two that you pay. You pay the tap fee and you pay connection fee.
Tap
So I
fee.
thought there were
I
fees
thought
that
we
were
were doing-
collected.
Not to
There
my
is.
understanding.
There is a tap fee for a sewer and a tap fee for a water,
Right.
but there should also, that should be the connection fee. The tap fee should go right to the township for the infrastructure that we put in the ground.
Right,
I thought there was a tap fee to tap into the system.
right.
And then a connection
Nope.
fee to
That's-
connect. we've talked
So
about
then
that in
when-
meetings.
So
know
when
that.
somebody pays
And
$5,000
it was-
for a tap fee, what happens to the 5,000?
Exactly.
No, I've seen it.
We
ordinance where
deduct
there were two.
the connection costs
That's-
off the
that's-
5,000?
That, it's all one. I fought that for years and I've never gotten anywhere with it, so I gave up.
But it's not per ordinance.
It is in our ordinance evidently,
I mean,
Well,
what we're doing is not
it's-
per the ordinance.
right?
It says that there's a tap fee to be paid. But I don't know that our ordinance says there's also a connection fee to be paid.
It says there's two.
That's
Where?
what he says.
Two
He's
connection
saying
fees.
the tap fee is a capital connection fee. He doesn't
Um,
say there's a tap fee and a
On the,
connection
yeah, on
fee.
the first page. A connection charge, 1.6,
The connection for shall mean the fee assessed for permission to connect the premises.
Commonly known as a tap fee.
yeah, this
So
is
the
this-
tap fee,
This fee
that's
is
the
in
tap fee.
addition, is in addition to other fees,
Application inspection.
right? He
Well,
says,
we
so
do,
there's,
isn't there a,
so there's two connection fees.
no, hold on. Where are there two connection
That's
fees?
what it
There are two
says.
connections.
On 1.6.
One established by the township and one established by the authority.
Mhm.
And so that's where I'm saying
So the
that's,
township should be collecting the 5,000 as a capital connection fee. And the authority should be charging to do the actual connections.
but the authority doesn't do any water connections. The authority doesn't have anything to do with water,
But
right?
originally it did,
I understand, but the reality that we have right
Right.
now that we're living under,
right,
this is
Well-
what makes me nuts.
right.
We
I know.
have to figure this out with this authority and dissolving the authority and where responsibilities lie. And we have to be ready to be operating a full utility department over
Absolutely
here.
correct.
And we're clear about rates and we're clear about charges. Feel like this authority has muddied the water where we're just a little confused about.
100%.
Okay, so moving forward,
Right.
we need to figure out what the authority is, what the
I
water.
would love
Authority
to
will
do.
not be much
We're,
longer.
we're trying to dissolve the authority. And so, because right now,
Well, you gotta have
it's like the water and sewer authority,
got
but
the
they
water-
don't handle water.
you got the water department, which is Bob Skull, and under what group are they operating on? The Water and Sewer Authority? Is
No.
that,
No, Bob works for the township
Township,
But yet we do pay, part of his pay comes
For-
from the authority. correct?
because
We
he
split the
works
cost.
on sewer
So-
as well, but the authority doesn't want to pay for water
So
at all.
define the authority. What is the authority?
sewer,
Exactly,
Sewer only.
sewer, that's
right,
it.
sewer,
So who's in charge of water?
thank
Bob.
you.
Bob Skull.
And, but for years,
So he's
years.
the Water
But when
Department
did this
Authority.
happen?
Yeah.
When did this happen too? Did it happen under Mike? Because this isn't clear to me. This is
The-
concerning. It's been operating like this.
Linden
We should-
Township, Linden Township was gonna sue us. He kept, the supervisor, Mark, kept blowing off his mouth. You know, if you guys don't separate us, I'm gonna sue you, I'm gonna sue you, I'm gonna sue you.
Separate water and sewer.
Yep, and I said, look, either sue us or shut the hell up.
Or separated.
So he shut up
And it never got separated.
and we just kind of separated the water from the sewer authority. And that was that, it was just done.
But it was never through ordinance or,
Because the cost to rewrite the whole thing, our attorney said, was not worth the effort.
Well, and I would be interested in how much this has cost the township through, confusion and not being clear and.
I know.
So the
That's-
authority then is the prevailing organization, and they are a water and sewer authority if it never got changed.
Per the ordinance.
per the ordinance, but that hasn't happened in what, 14 years? I mean, I've been here for 8 years. It's been this way since I've been here. Right? I mean, I don't remember
See, I'm trying to
water.
remember when that happened.
I don't
Four
remember.
years ago with Keezer, I attended some meetings and we would talk about water and we'd say, well, this is really more sewer here. We're not dealing much with water. But, you know, and there was the push to get Linden out of the water side of it.
Because
They
originally the
didn't
old
have
board
water.
was
Right, and
using,
they don't want, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't.
they were using sewer fees to
So-
pay water bills.
Yeah, right. And that's why he said there's potential for a lawsuit here.
Right.
So why don't we have Fall straighten this out for us?
Well, what we're trying to do right now is have Fall and Linden Township's attorney dissolve the authority.
And we're very close.
Because
But-
honestly,
but
at this point, it's only sewer and Linden has what? 50 sewer users and they're never gonna
Some.
have water.
But-
So they're like,
But you made a statement that we need to be ready to run a utility department.
yeah,
Are we ready to run a utility?
well, and this
department?
is the thing, and Pam Burns is like, I'm not super excited about dissolving this authority until I know you over there in Sylvan are ready and have a
So those
functioning
need to
water
go
because
hand in hand.
Linden would be like a customer of
Right,
ours then.
right.
We would be the one. And so this is one of the things and what I've been kind of thinking about, like, we need more here, or maybe an office manager. We need, Bob can do, you know, I mean, we have somebody who does the sewer, somebody who does the water, IA and Midway, you know, or refresh the sewer folks. Multi-lakes, thank you. So they're doing them, so Bob would manage those contracts and emergencies when they come up, but it would be nice to have somebody who can answer people's questions, you know, look up billing things. Right now, the accountant's doing that, and she doesn't need to be doing that. It's taking up her time. It's way above her, you know.
But does an
job.
office manager run a utility department though?
No, but they could be the person who would, I mean, Bob would be running the utility department. Like you said, he'd be the DPW administrator here, unless we want to say we want to look for someone new, you know, we need to be
Well,
clear on.
Here's my problem. We started going down this road. We're trying to
Mhm,
figure out if tap fees should be going towards bond payment.
mhm.
And so now what we're saying is, well, we're not following our ordinance, so we're not putting tap fees towards the bond payment. Because we don't know whether Linden is part of an authority that we don't know an authority exists. It's like, you gotta follow the ordinance. That's
Well,
our ordinance.
And we
And if
have it
it-
for years, Kurt.
and
I
if
mean,
it-
I'm not the first, that we didn't
I'm
follow
not
it when
blaming
you
you.
were
I'm
here. We
just
didn't follow it when
saying-
forever.
I'm saying if this says there's a
Yeah.
tap fee and there is a connection fee, then let's start doing that.
But I'm reading it different from you. I'm reading it and he's saying there's a tap fee, which is the connection fee.
He's saying there's two connection fees.
One from the township and one from the
Right.
authority.
The one from the township is the
Right.
capital connection fee, which is commonly referred to as a tap, and that goes towards paying the bond. Or do we
He's
agree on that?
saying here, yeah, he's saying here that anything that comes in, sounds like he's
Under-
saying should be going towards the bond.
Under capital connection fee, should be going towards the bond.
Okay,
And what I'm saying, if it's a water connection, then Bob Skull ought to be grabbing the $5,000.
Yep.
If it's a sewer connection, then it sounds like the authority should be grabbing
and
that
they do,
$5,000.
that's happening right now.
And then that money should be going towards the bond.
That's the part that we needed John X to come in on.
And
But
that's-
we are dividing them. The tap fees are going to the authority for sewer and the water tap
Yes.
fees are coming to the township.
okay, and then
Yep.
the actual cost of connecting
Well, and that,
should be paid for by either developer, the homeowner, whoever wants the meter and wants the, how's that happening for water?
Well,
Is
so they
Bob
pay the
Skull-
water
All the-
connect, they pay the meter fee,
The meter fees and everything, that's separate.
that gets paid, separate
That
from the
gets
tap
separate
fees.
from the tap. fees.
Okay.
That gets
Okay.
paid.
So that
paid.
is, that's where I'm thinking there was a second fee.
And
It
that
was the
is, that's a
meter
meter
fee.
fee
All right.
that you're paying
Meter
for,
fee and
and Bob's
install.
time to install, right?
Right,
Okay,
isn't that,
That's what I,
is there more to connecting than that?
I'm not a water, I mean, you know,
To
we've
connect to the
been
water?
talking about this for.
Yeah, you're drilling into the ground, you're tapping into, you're connecting through our main pipe.
You're paying for the
You're-
extra
so the other
capacity.
You're
fee is
making-
actually connecting to the home or to
Yeah,
the
you're
business.
making a big connection into our pipe
Yes.
initially, then that pipe goes on into the subdivision,
Right.
and then that gets numerous connections as it goes along
People's
to the
homes.
different homes.
So, and so we don't know the history if this $5,000 tap fee was at one point split between the sewer and water.
there's always been a separate tap fee for sewer and a separate tap fee for water.
It's two,
There's two tap
Two
fees,
tap
always.
fees.
some people only have water, so they pay just
Correct.
for water, some people have.
But
only
if,
sewer.
but if I'm listening to you, there are two fees, there are two
There's,
connection fees,
there's a sewer tap fee, a water tap
right,
fee,
but
but there's
isn't,
not a connection.
There's the meter.
The
one that
meter
you're
fee
talking,
or whatever.
that's the one I'm calling the connection,
Yeah.
and we should make sure that's
Okay.
covering all
That's-
the costs of connecting.
But that's not a connection fee to the system. That's a connection fee to the home.
to the home.
Right, so. So we should be enlarging that scope of the connection fee.
Connection fee should also, there should be a connection fee and a tap fee for each one of those. For water and a connection fee and a tap fee for sewer. Because
Mhm.
one pays for infrastructure, one pays for the connection.
But we have that
Mhm.
currently, that's where I'm getting confused, because we're
But-
saying we're missing one, but we do have that, we have the tap fee to the system and the connection fee to the home for both
But the
sewer
connection
and
fee
water.
is only covering the meter right now, Bob's time to install the meter.
Right,
It's
Right.
not paying for, like you're saying,
Capital-
connecting to the, yeah,
capital
all of that,
maintenance.
so it's probably less than what. Right, but again, yeah,
So
but I
for-
thought
well,
when we've looked at rates, though, when we've looked at the size of the pipes, we were in line with other municipalities. I know that was a discussion, I thought we were in line with the city of Chelsea
for meter sizes, maybe.
for meter sizes.
We'd only have defined a 1 inch meter.
Right,
That's it.
I thought we had more, I thought we had.
well, but
bigger
Bob
ones
said we
anyway.
really don't have them in the township though, right?
That's
There's
in-
only
right.
one commercial,
I did a thing,
Connection,
the
which-
connection
Right,
fee and they
they're
not
recommended.
common.
There
you
was
said
a, there was
most-
a 1.5 inch connection fee up at Westchester Farms. You know, and that's, and so when I was doing the water before we hired Bob. I said, we don't have a fee for a 1.5 inch connection, so. We're gonna do 1.5 times the 5,000, and we charge 7,500 for that. Be it right or be it wrong, that's what we did.
So,
I don't know what was charged for the facility there on 12. I don't remember what was charged for that 8 inch.
oh, that was an 8 inch.
so looking just at water, you got the water, the main line, 12 inch, 8 inch. That's what the tap fee covers, the capital connection fee.
Yes.
You got the house and you got a meter, you gotta make this connection. And you gotta install the meter, and this should all be part of the connection fee.
Correct.
And the homeowner takes care of everything on this side of the meter.
Well, what
Well-
happens is the pipe comes from the contractor's pipe that ran up from our. They connect into the main, they connect into our main water line.
Yep.
Here. At the street, and
Yep.
then they run up, and then you got houses coming off here. And then they run pipes all into the house is all plumbed and everything, and Bob just puts the meter on the side of the house. Checks everything inside, makes sure everything is run, and then he turns everything on. So everything is run to the house already. Bob does, there's no meter first and then goes on to the
So you're,
house.
what you're saying is the developer is currently covering all of this. He's
No,
paying for all of that.
no,
I mean, the $5,000 tap fee. Is just that to tap into the pipe.
So it's not the line to the home.
No.
It's not that 1 inch
so
line
the
to the,
other fee, other than the tap, covers the cost of the meter. And Bob's time to
put
install the
the meter.
meter
but there's no
into the
capital
home,
maintenance
but
fee.
nothing
cap-
else in there,
right.
no other room in there at
Right.
all for anything
Right.
else. But again,
100%.
when we're under this authority that's a
So who's paying for this?
Nobody. Well,
Well-
the contractor is.
paying for what
But-
though, because they're paying
For this
for.
part of it? If the contractor's installing all of that at their own cost, then
They are installing it,
The-
but what, we're not getting any capital fee for what we already paid for to put in, and put in the ground.
for this here, for this.
Correct,
Yeah,
For this tap fee here,
correct,
it goes towards the capital.
correct.
Yeah, as long as they're covering the costs of that and we're charging for the meter, we're covered. That's underwater. Now, what about under sewer? You got
well,
the-
we're covered, but we're
well-
not covered if we're not charging a capital maintenance fee.
Exactly.
That's
mean, I
where,
feel like
that's
this
where
is-
we run into a crisis.
Maintenance of what?
And I mean, we've gone round and around and around and around over this over the years.
Maintenance
and
of what?
nothing's gotten
No
resolved.
maintenance of the system, that the capital maintenance of the system.
When-
If
when-
we're not, if
So
we're not,
for,
When we laid the pipes in the ground. Everybody in Sylvan Township started paying for it. And we've not collected anything from the contractors except the 5,000, 4,000 then. Tap into that pipe.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Which is really the users. We're collecting the fee from the
Collecting the fee
users,
from
not
the
the
user.
contractor, but the users.
So there's no fee to help us recoup the cost of putting those pipes in the ground.
Well,
Well,
I
the-
look at it as a fee to help the
the-
future maintenance of the system,
Exactly.
The tap fee covered the cost of putting all this in the ground.
Well,
but it's future maintenance.
Well, future maintenance is based on usage.
disregarding the meter, there should be a connection fee and a tap
I'm not seeing
on
that.
that system. That's, if you go, just go look at, go home, Google Saline. Connection fees, whatever, to their septic, to their sewer and their
Right.
water. You're gonna see 2 fees for each one, for different sized pipes.
Yep.
You're gonna see it for Ann Arbor, you're gonna see it for Milan, you're gonna see it for Chelsea. We're the
But-
only ones that don't.
But I hear what you're saying, Kurt, that there's also built into the fee schedule is a capital maintenance
Yeah.
fee.
That's-
That's built into the user's fee schedule. So that does come out of that, because those are supposed to be delineated, right? That fee schedule is
Mhm.
broken down. The monies go to different places, and one was a capital maintenance
Right.
fee built into the.
That's why we have to go
schedule.
through and redo that infrastructure alternative study.
Well, and yeah, but the funny thing is like, what they are gonna come back and say is,
We're how,
if you truly charge the rate, that it would be exorbitant, and people would not be able to
That's the
afford that.
water, that's the water.
That's
rate.
the water rate, right? I mean, and us here as a body, really, that's the
Well,
only thing we're talking about,
well, what
because the authority is in the sewer.
What I'm saying is that you need that, you need them to do that study, and then when they show their spreadsheet, you
Mhm.
need to agree on the line items. Is this formula correct? And if you like the formula, there is a mechanism in there for capital recovery. Then you create a line item budget. And every time somebody pays their water bill, a
Mhm.
percentage of that goes to that fund.
And
Mhm.
it does. A percentage of the water bill, a percentage of the sewer bill
right, it's in the.
goes to a maintenance.
It's in the fee schedule, you can.
Well,
see
Yeah.
maintenance
it's
is different than
delineated.
capital.
That's different.
They did have a line item, a component that said capital.
And this is where I would love to have maybe Fall help us with a little bit too, because I know he's talked a lot about lawsuits recently, like
Mhm.
what you can charge in rates and what you can't charge in rates, and you know, this sort of thing, so. And honestly, since this board has not really looked, I mean, sounds like we're kind of realizing. Water really hasn't been under the authority, but the township hasn't really wrapped our arms around it like we should, so. You know, we're realizing this now. We are the water, this is us, so we, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing to go back and take on, and I'm sure that's why it was never done in the past.
Right.
It's
So
a big undertaking,
his recommendation here is that tap fees go towards the
Correct.
bond.
right,
So are we gonna?
right. I'm
are we
okay, you
gonna
know,
follow that? Are we gonna?
that's fine with me, I'm interested in hearing the input, since this is a draft document, I'm interested in hearing the input from the county. But it sounds like he's saying the tap fees should go to the bond. And from my discussion with him on the phone, and listen, if folks wanna come in, and we'll get him on the call too, because I hate being the go-between, I worry I'm gonna misrepresent your questions, I like when it's in writing, cause then I can forward that, but
But I was
then
on
he
the
gets
call
on the
with,
phone with me, yeah, and
and
so,
he didn't say, he said that tap fees didn't have to go.
but that was before he had this information
ordinance.
from the ordinances
Right,
and stuff
right,
too, and so
right.
now.
At that
he's
point,
saying
he said
that,
no.
So, yeah, so this has changed things, so I would be
Well, it makes
interested.
sense, he gets more
Us.
data than.
Mhm.
it's gonna help him with
Exactly,
looking
right,
for
and that's what he said,
accurate.
I can't speak on this until I know what your ordinance say and
Right.
things like that, so. So yeah, I would be interested in hearing, before I made my final call on this, just what the county folks said, but I
And so my
think,
question is, in the past, have tap fees gone towards the bottom? Since you've been,
but how many tap fees have we gotten?
I mean, since you've been
Since
here,
I've
Rod,
been
we've
here.
had phase 1 of Silver Crossing, which was what, 90 some units, I think.
Yeah, that's true, so then.
I
and
mean,
then
that's-
some of
water-
Westchester-
that's,
All the
you
water
know,
tap fees went right into the
$800,000.
water.
Which is wild, because what is the water fund? That's, if there was $5,000 per home, the
I mean,
water
that's-
fund should
that's-
have a lot of money.
Right, but that's,
maybe they
but
did.
also,
It's
if you
little,
look
it's
at,
just piecemeal.
but
Yeah,
if, but if,
totally.
but if you look at Sylvan Crossing, Chelsea Springs to, what was the other, Chelsea Square, I mean, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of tap fees.
Yeah, Chelsea
coming in,
Square
I mean-
hasn't come in yet, I don't think, because they haven't been approved by Leone, but I know what you mean. I mean,
No,
there's other
I mean,
places,
there,
it's
we
like,
have
There should
significant
be some
development in that
money.
urban
Yeah,
area, where
yeah.
in Westchester.
right,
I know that's a whole nother deal though,
No,
because of
right,
the
right.
settlement, but yeah,
And
Well,
they're
so we-
4,000.
we should know, we should know where that money is.
yeah, and I
We
think
should
the
know exactly how much
authority
money we have taken in,
helps
where it went,
100%.
so that we
And
can
we
be,
should
we
be
can
making
be,
decisions
have
about the
integrity.
connection fees and the rates, and I don't feel like we've ever really talked about this, Boris, so this is, it's good, it's a new day for us,
And-
we're all on Front Street, we all know now.
And I'll
you know
throw,
what
I'll
it
throw a
is.
little more confusion into
Well,
it.
thank you.
I mean, it's more information.
No, it's good, I appreciate it
You
very
know,
much.
and for the, yeah, for the lawsuits. When they paid their lawsuit, those were all tap fees for water. When Westchester comes in, they're only paying a tap fee for sewer,
They
Right.
prepaid the water.
because they paid the water already. And all of that shit, and I fought this for years, I fought it with the auditors, every penny of it went into the special sewer account.
So, okay, wait, Westchester paid it when the consent judgment was signed,
Westchester, Michael Peppo,
so that was part of the consent
well,
judgment, they would.
it was an amortized,
Right.
amortized.
For
rate schedule.
water, okay, and so they actually, how many water tap fees then were they
You have to
assigned?
look at the consent judgments.
Yeah.
They're all spelled out. in the
So we have
consent
additional
judgments.
ones, and that's part of the amendment that we're seeing, right? There's additional beyond that, but they were paid up to whatever that amount
Yep.
was.
And then
And
there,
so, but not sewer,
it depends on the consent judgment, maybe on other ones.
well, if the sewer wasn't included in the
And-
consent judgment, then
and then-
they've had to pay those as they.
The
built out.
explanation I constantly got from Mr. Joseph was, well, I'm afraid it won't be enough money to pay the Kavanaugh Lake bond off. So we gotta have that money.
But there should be a way for us to go back and see what went where. I mean, it's all in our accounting
Mhm.
system
And
to
I'm
actually know
telling you
what
right
was
now,
receipted
it
and where it
All
went
went into the special sewer account.
from.
They paid bonds as bonds
You
came
say you
due.
paid bonds on the 4.4
But
goes.
not the 4.4.
Oh, okay, oh, okay,
Prior
bonds, I
to
got
the-
you.
Kavanaugh Lake bond, when it would
Okay.
come in, all got paid out of the special sewer account.
From monies from these developments.
Yeah,
That's a whole,
following that. but-
that's a whole forensic
I'm
accounting.
telling you,
it sounds
I mean,
like, right,
I'm-
yeah,
Just mean,
get it all out there.
yeah,
the Kavanaugh Lake one, I think it was $15,000,
Yeah, 14.7 or something like that, yeah.
and I paid on it for 10, 12 years and it finally went away.
And those all went in the special sewer fund.
But I don't think anything subsidized that. That was that 14.7 was the
Right, and
initial
see,
amount.
people were paying those off early. Which meant we weren't getting the interest from those early payoffs. So we were quote unquote losing money to pay those bonds.
But
In the
you,
end.
but you have the total amount that you have collected from those, from the sewer tap fees,
Well, they were collecting before I came in too.
right? But we should know a total amount that was collected from
Mhm.
Kavanaugh Lake, from Crooked Lake, and
Well-
then we would know if we collected enough money to pay off that sewer bond, the special lake sewer bond.
So I think
It's
you're
all in
at
our
a point
accounting
where,
system.
do you wanna spend 80 grand on hiring a forensic accountant to go through and, follow all the dollars? Or do you just wanna say at this point, the tap fees we get per ordinance are gonna go towards the bond fee?
well,
think
I mean,
it's-
I want to get everybody else's input on this, this is a draft document,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if this is what the attorney says, then that's what we go with. And I also want to say real quick that while we were on the phone, and I would want to clarify this with him, but my understanding was he was saying we cannot. The bond is not callable,
Right.
right? Like
Right,
we
no,
cannot
we
pay,
know
but,
this.
right, but what I want to say is that he was saying if we do pay it off early, what would happen is in that last year or whatever, we would owe the interest on it.
Mhm.
Like we would, if we paid it off and there's, in 2 years,
Right.
then it's still there. Technically, because it's not callable, but we will have paid it off to the county. And then the county would just say, here's your interest from year 3,
But
here's your
we're-
interest, which would be minimal,
But if we
right?
had that money set aside and we're making more interest than the bond, than what we're paying on the bond, we're actually wasting taxpayer money.
Correct. I mean,
Because we're
yeah.
just paying it off and then they get the money and they get to invest it.
They're
And so
paying
we're
it
we're
off.
wasting, so set it aside,
Yeah,
invest it,
yeah.
know that we have it. But
Well,
so
and
if
that's
we,
a-
if we
right.
have enough to stop collecting
Right.
and it's there
that's-
and then we're being more
And right now,
honest.
I'm getting over 5%.
Right.
On millions of dollars setting in Michigan class.
But to your point, Kurt, should we spend the $80,000 to do the forensic, accounting audit? To me, as a resident, I would want to know if my monies were being used to pay, if in fact that's true, Rod, that the monies were being used to pay the special lake bond. I would not be happy if I'm having to pay 4.4 mils and my money's going to pay something other than the bond.
You
That
would-
doesn't make me happy.
You wouldn't be happy knowing what the other board did with that money either.
But if I'm having integrity for the residents, then I would, I
I mean, sometimes
I
it's just
agree.
easier to put this shit in the past and move on.
I think
Well,
that will, from
Move on
everything
the
I
proper way.
hear, from everything that I hear, stuff has just been not done appropriately. I mean, it's,
Right.
here, again, we have people who are not professionals running a corporation.
that's still not. an excuse.
And
That's not an excuse.
I mean, I would certainly, I'm curious too, as to what the heck was going on. But I think we should just move forward and not look back and change things to the way they're supposed to be. And if we have a windfall, then we can hire a forensic accountant to figure it out. Because that to me is like another stop. Well, we can't move forward until we get this answer.
Well, no, I think we can move forward. We can make sure we're setting that money aside as the tap fees that we are receiving to go into that we know they're earmarked, that we are accumulating that amount of money. Building that up to get to the point where we can pay the bond. And if we have enough money set aside, we could stop collecting the millage, because that's the whole point.
Mhm.
I mean, if, and again, we're being accountable to the residents.
Right.
And we
Right.
can show them what we're doing, and we have
Right.
transparency, and they know that we are managing this appropriately.
It's hard to say because I think I would be upset about my money, but then I think, so then you're spending 80,000, what's my portion of the 80,000 to
Exactly.
find out
No,
what went
and-
wrong? And
Well,
it's like-
well, so what's
and
the
it's-
balance?
Well, and it is, and what's important to me is I think what people have been saying, like, the most important thing is being clear going forward.
Right.
And so we can talk about the past, is it worth to invest it? I don't know. The biggest thing we can do is just make sure that we're all clear on this going forward.
Yes.
That
And
this
do it,
is,
that's what I'm
and do
saying.
it, this is,
Move it forward the correct way.
Right,
um,
right.
and I think it's
That
just,
just
yeah,
make me mad. It'll just make me have like a stroke or something to find out how things were handled in the past, and it's not helping today.
If you're gonna blow an artery, don't do it in here, okay?
it's upsetting though. I get
It
it.
is,
It's
absolutely
upsetting
is.
to be, to not, to feel like, and I think part of the thing is too, you guys, we're running almost like a charter township on 12 hours a week. I don't know that this is sustainable for us. And it's no wonder that we run into problems and confusion and, part of it is because we're so small time. Part of it's because we don't have somebody who's bringing people together as an office, like, hey, these are things that are happening. We're having conversations. We're all in our little independent silos, 12 hours a week, more than that. But we don't, I don't know how we're ever gonna move forward when we're so disparate and we're not ever coming together or having these conversations. And we have people who aren't professionals and we're 12 hours a week. That's not even 20 hours a week. I think, I just don't think it's a reality of the amount of things, the complexity of things that we're dealing with here. We're operating as though it was still 20 years ago. It's not 20 years ago.
No,
That's a whole nother conversation.
it is.
So that was a massive sidetrack.
Super good though. I'm glad. I mean, I
It was
feel like
good.
it's it's good to talk about these
Oh,
things.
absolutely.
'cause-
I mean, I gave people more information that you didn't have before, you probably didn't have before.
So can we capture tap fees, that dollar amount? Can we have it in a fund? And, I mean, we're saying water fund, but I have no idea what,
But it sounds
Water
like it
fund
needs to
is.
be
It's the
delineated
five
even
ninety-one
more.
fund,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
separate from the 101 fund is the general, right?
Right,
And
but-
so
but-
it's like,
but it sounds like there's more in there in the water fund than
Right,
just
so it
tap
needs to be
fees.
delineated into its own fund.
Well,
Mm.
all the,
well, it could be
when
its
people
own
pay their water bills.
GL line, right? Its own GL
No, it
revenue
needs to be-
line.
I don't think it
Yeah.
should go in the main
That's
water
right,
fund,
so-
because then it
Right.
gets commingled.
that's-
We need to know
And then
exactly what it
we-
is.
Right, as
But
a
you can put it in the water fund and
Yeah,
that
to
could
the
be a
water.
revenue
No,
line.
no,
So you're saying
yes.
this bond
Just a
payments
revenue,
would
yeah.
just be like, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yep.
Right.
The more
Right.
distinctive, the more,
Delineated. the better.
things.
Exactly. And then the better we're gonna be ready to dissolve the authority and
Yeah.
take it on. This really is, it's.
I mean,
So
this is
that's
all
it.
stuff that we need to be able to pass along to our neighbor. So she can feel comfortable and confident that we can run. the
She
show.
actually is kind of okay with everything right now.
Okay,
Well, I think they're kind of moving more in a direction where they're gonna be a customer of multi-lakes.
They're gonna be a
They're more
customer
like a-
multi-lakes, correct, and we just bill them for their share of pass-through in our system. And that's,
yeah. Okay, well, getting back to John Axe's memo.
Yeah,
So are we-
Like, what I would like to do is, it's a draft memo, so I don't know
Wait
if
for
I
the
would really
county.
wanna say, I mean, I would be interested in seeing what other people say.
Sure.
I can't
The
dispute
others
what
then.
Mr. Axe is saying, so honestly, I could sign off today if that's his opinion.
But you wanna
He's
wait
the
for the
lawyer.
county to weigh in? or-
Just be
I think
interested.
it'd be
But-
good to see what the county says.
But are we actually
Yeah.
waiting for the county to weigh in? Do they know that that's the next? step?
Well, I don't
Because
know,
if they
that's a
don't,
good
they may
point.
not- they
Well,
may
I
not.
told them we were meeting today and we were gonna discuss it, and I would see if you guys had questions.
Okay,
Cause that was their big thing. This is draft. Look at it. Let me know if this answers your questions. If you have more questions, he's available. I don't know who is paying John X's bill for this. BTW, I think it's the time anyway.
but I would say then
would-
if we want to hear from the county, if you will maybe just extend that request.
Yeah.
That they would weigh in, so we could, they
And
might
then-
not know to do
I
so.
would honestly like to,
Or should we
like to
just
get
say,
an answer from Mr. Axis as to clear the muddied water on these fees.
The connection fees he's talking about.
I really would. Cause I mean, I'm reading it one
Yeah.
way, Kurt reading this another way,
right,
so I would like to
so
clear as
here's,
mud.
yeah. So here's what I'm thinking, either we can have another meeting where Mr. X gets on the phone, or you two discussing it is not a quorum. I mean, I think the trouble is when there's the three of us, then we
Right.
have to notice it, then it's a
Right,
meeting
right.
that's subject to Open Meetings Act.
Mhm.
And I'm okay to do that. But also if it's quicker and easier for you two to get on the phone with Mr. X or however to get your questions answered, it might be speedier. It might be, you can represent yourselves way better
Yeah, I'm
than,
okay
yeah.
with that too.
So
Mr. X is okay with talking with Kurt and I, that's fine too.
he seems like he's just really, open to questions and every time says, hey, this is a draft, let me know. So
Okay.
why don't I send his information to
So-
you guys?
As far as this document here, there's nothing the
Yeah.
county needs to weigh in on this. Is there?
Well, this is, Mr. X has sent it to all of us and said it's a draft and he would like us all to weigh in, sign off, have questions, whatever. So I mean, I guess I'm okay to tell them, we're okay, I'm okay signing off on this if we want to take a vote today. Because really, I mean, if we said yes and the county said, hey, hold up, something's different here, I mean, it would be a, whatever-
In this, I don't see there's anything that the county would be.
I
interested
don't
in.
either, but it's not for me to tell Mr. X the county can't weigh in on it. And he's offered it to them.
Right.
So, I mean,
They are the holder of the bond.
yeah, I mean, and
But
maybe
there's
it's
no
not,
bond
so,
questions in here. There's connection charge, connection permits.
yeah,
I mean, and to your point, Kurt, I mean, they don't care how we pay it.
Right, I don't. Connection charge.
So in that sense, I don't know how.
well,
what-
do
what-
we want to just sign off on, tell Mr. X we're fine with this document right now, we're okay to
I
sign
am,
off
I am
on it?
okay with it, unless you have one.
Unless you guys
additional
want
questions
questions
that you two
answered
would like to-
before. I mean, that's the thing.
I'd like the questions answered first.
Yeah,
in all honesty.
that makes
I
sense.
really
Go ahead.
would.
If you
So
have
you
questions,
and Kurt
it's
want
better.
to go ahead and.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
I'll-
he didn't respond to the discussion points I had.
And you know what? I asked him pointed questions and he also didn't answer my questions in that vein. And maybe that's his lawyer
But
bone.
that's the-
Yes.
Do you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes, I
He's
do.
not gonna say this or that.
No,
So,
but
but I,
you know-
this is where I'm glad you can speak to him personally,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can push
On
that.
a phone call, I can,
Correct.
go over the documents.
Right.
Same
Right.
when we went over it.
Yeah.
Zeus and went through it, do that with John X and just to make sure we understand exactly what we're saying here.
Right.
Okay.
All right, I will pass his contact information on and let him know that you guys have questions.
I don't have a problem with the copy just going to the county. I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
wouldn't wait on them for any.
Yeah,
Right.
He's paying for a
Right.
check, that's his-
well, and I think the important thing is that if we have questions,
Right.
then answer, or we sign off.
So
But if you got questions,
just
we'll
send
just,
us an email
Yeah.
once you get that feedback from him.
Yeah,
That'd be
let's,
good.
yeah.
yeah, but we'll get Kurt and I,
Perfect.
yeah,
Oh, fun.
all right.
thank you.
All right, it's getting late here on us.
Yeah.
So ARPA funds, let's just table that. I don't really have anything new. I just felt like, hey, we're coming together.
Okay.
Let's talk
I
about
want
that.
to
So,
talk about it.
oh,
for a few
okay.
minutes.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
I, at some point in time, I mentioned okay, so how many people lost power last week?
Me.
Okay. There's no place for people to go. I think we need to look at, if we're gonna put a new roof on this building, and I think we need to look at enhancing the township hall as a point of refuge for people who have lost power for whatever reason. And I think that the ARPA funds would be ideal to do that. And in all of the training things that I've been to for solar and wind, we've not talked about. I mean, there's a little thing where they're trying to get churches and municipalities to have their buildings go solar. But that's not ever really been discussed in any of the things that I've gone to. And I would like us to look into it, to get an idea of what it would cost to make this building be able to support people if we have an extended power outage.
We could do a generator.
Could do a generator.
So,
Well, we
Way
don't
cheaper.
know that yet. We
we-
don't know that yet.
No, we could invest money in a generator. I know you've looked at it, it's about $30,000. Where then we could accommodate that as well.
There's because the risk management grant will cover that too, if we want to
I
apply
think
for the power plant.
$5,000.
It's not a lot, but it's
Yeah.
something.
Sure.
That would take
No,
a chunk off.
I
mean,
think I agree. I mean, with
Yeah.
the power outage with the elections, we should be looking at.
Oh,
the generator.
Under
Yeah,
for sure.
I didn't
And
think of that.
I think what's even more important for something like you're talking about is winter time versus summer. You know, where people would lose power and there's
Right.
at least a place they could get one.
Right, right.
It would
Well, and
require,
alternately, in the summer, it could be cool. It's gonna be
It-
90,
it-
91
no, it
degrees
could
this
be.
weekend. And
No,
if you don't
I
have
get it.
AC, if you're
You
older.
you
like
have
me,
Yeah.
so you have natural gas here.
Yeah.
That's a question, okay. So you can have a natural gas generator that runs all the air conditioning and everything.
you get one big enough to run.
Mhm. Or even just this, you know.
No, the
yeah,
whole
the
thing,
whole
you don't
thing. Okay,
piecemeal
all right,
it,
all right.
because we have no idea what's gonna be happening
Right.
down the road as far as the weather's concerned. We could
I
just
mean,
turn
it'll
into
take a healthy
Tennessee.
generator because we have 4
Mhm.
furnaces and air conditioning.
Ooh,
Yeah, there's a lot.
So it's
That's what I
gonna be a
think,
healthy
it's-
generator.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
see, they will come in and tell you what you need.
Oh, no, you're
They'll
right.
Yeah.
fall
right.
around.
I mean, the
Yeah.
people came into my house and told me what I needed.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to start
Mhm.
3 furnaces at once, cause I have one in each garage and
Yeah.
one in the house.
Well, the one thing I
We'll
think
just
about,
go to your house.
I love the idea of a refuge spot, but
Yeah.
I think about who would be here.
One
Who's
of
gonna
us
let
would have
people
to
be,
be.
that's the thing. And so there's other things to think
You're
about,
right,
but I
there's a
think the
lot of
great
logistics.
first step,
Yes, there
for
is.
sure, we need the generator.
The generator
I
is
cannot
is a
believe
phenomenal first step.
Yeah.
It's very.
I almost
The
can't
rest of
believe the
it can
state
be worked
police
out.
require us to have an alarm, but are okay being in a building that loses power frequently for
No,
days.
I
I'm
100%
like,
agree. A generator is very important.
Yeah. So one of the other things I'll say right now is I'm collecting information to bring to the board, to have Sue Dickinson update our, the land standards and, have, had Erickson look at the water and sewer ordinances
Should we then get other
because they're
quotes though?
super old. We could get other
I
quotes.
think
This is-
we need, I mean.
Yeah,
The
for
government
sure.
entity, we need to have other.
The only
quotes.
thing
Well,
we
and I
got
think for
going,
ARPA funds, we have to have. other
and the only
quotes,
thing
so-
we got going for us is Ted Erickson is already extremely familiar with our
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah.
Right, but I think, you know, the number of quotes coming in, I think
It
it's
just would be
important. I think I remember Thal saying,
Really.
if it's, right, if it's expenditure over a certain amount of
Right.
money, they wanted you to report, we
Yes,
got these
yes,
3
yeah.
quotes, so.
Make sure we're spending the money.
No, I get it.
Yes, for
No, I
sure.
get it.
I just wanted to let the board, that was something, and especially as we just talked about our ordinances and how they're not reflective of the reality.
Right.
That I would love to maybe put some money.
Our
away.
ordinances are-
They're just old. All right. So that was just a discussion. We need to
Okay.
table anything.
No.
Amanda,
So I just received an, letter from the county for the early voting agreement. There's 22 out of the 24 municipalities that have indicated they want to coordinate with the county. So, I would like to be able to sign this. This is the declaration of intent. It's not the agreement that we are interested in coordinating with the county.
mhm.
So.
So what would this mean? So coordinating with the county, then the county's gonna set up locations for the
Yes.
early voting?
Yes, and right now they've been talking about the city of Chelsea, but then I just received an email from Trish yesterday asking if the city
Sylvan?
can't
Oh.
do it, can Sylvan.
Oh,
So
for
what are-
Pete's sake.
So they man it, they pay for all the staff. I mean, we would have to obviously have somebody here that would be able to open the hall, but I wanted to know your thoughts.
Well, is it full-time? Is it like 9 to 5? What's the early voting
Yes, I think it is, or
hours?
8 to
would
whatever
be-
it is. I mean, you have 9 full days of early voting. So
Right.
the hall would have to be open for that.
So they would have somebody come here for their residents to vote? No.
No, the way it works is that they do ballots on demand. So when you come in, they print the ballot for you.
Okay.
Specifically, however that's going to work through
Okay.
their
And then-
software. But so they will have their own inspectors,
Okay.
their own staff. We just would need someone here to open the building and close.
And the
building.
difference between early voting and what we used to have with absentee voting is early voting, your ballot goes into the
Yes.
tabulator.
Yes,
And so this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize, early voting. So whereas you used to get your absentee ballot, it didn't go into the tabulator till election day.
right,
So this Prop 2 that passed, so the people wanted to be able to early vote, which means
yes,
you're gonna put your ballot into the tabulator up to 9 days early.
right.
So the county would be here, county would staff it, they'd have their or maybe our tabulator, because we
They-
wanna have
they-
those numbers.
Yes, they don't know for sure yet.
Incorporated.
Yes.
I think it sounds like
So-
a fine idea.
Yeah.
So I'll get
Alright.
more information
Yeah.
as they give me more information,
Yeah.
but that was a question that
Yeah,
posed
So
yesterday.
by law, you have to have 9 days of early voting.
Yes,
right.
And there's 3 different ways to do a county agreement, municipal agreement.
right,
Or separate from any other.
right,
And you're saying we should
Right.
do it as a county agreement.
right.
Uh,
The city of
Yeah.
Ann Arbor and Mylan are the only two that have not indicated they want to work with it.
Yeah, they're
county.
gonna do it on their own.
Right. Ann Arbor and,
Indicated different or just haven't
no,
indicated yet?
no, they've indicated they're not going to coordinate with the county. So, you know, Ann Arbor is obviously big and Mylan's in
Yes.
2 separate counties.
So do you
So
want,
it
do
gets a little.
right, right.
Yeah.
you want a motion to have you sign this?
I think
Yeah.
we
could-
should. I
yeah.
mean, I'm ready to.
All
I
right.
don't think we need to
Yeah.
wait till
I'll just make a
Tuesday.
motion that I am, that the township clerk is authorized to sign this declaration of intent with the county coordinated early voting agreement.
I'll second.
And so your motion includes that we're selecting the enter a county into a county agreement on.
Only the declaration of intent. The declaration of intent that we are going to enter into the county. It's not the
Right,
agreement.
right,
We
right,
just need
right.
this-
I just
But-
wanted to make sure that we didn't just approve the declaration, we're approving the declaration that says we're entering into a county agreement. Cool.
We, yes, we will.
Right, we will.
will,
We
right.
intend to,
We intend to,
Correct.
yes.
okay. Just to make sure
Let
that
me-
which box we
okay,
check
so-
when in.
So my motion is that the township, that the board authorize the clerk to sign the declaration of intent to enter into a county agreement for early voting.
I love it.
Is that good? All right,
Still second.
okay.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. That is gonna be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, any board of trustee comments?
Nope, I'm good, I know.
Okay.
All right, thanks, everybody. Look at that. 12:56.
All right.
11:56.
At 12:56.
I need that extra hour.
Yeah, sorry.
Thoughts,
All right.
Patrick?
Motion to adjourn. Actually, did we do
Yeah,
a motion to
sitting,
adjourn?
sitting, watching Patrick.
A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh,
So,
Shelty.
support by Kurt was nodding.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.